Welcome to Ground Up Growth, where we share entrepreneurial insights, business strategies, and personal growth lessons to help listeners build success from the ground up.
Welcome back to Ground Up Growth. I'm your host, Paul Hopper, and we've got co-host Hannah Pittman.
Hi.
Today's guest is Webb Emerson. He is the owner of Form Design Build, which is a commercial construction design build firm located right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Webb, thank you so much for coming on.
Hannah and Paul, thank y'all for having me. Really excited about doing this with y'all. I've watched a lot of the episodes that y'all have done and listened along. Y'all have had some great guests on, so I'm honored to be included amongst those that you've already had.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. All right. Form Design Build. So you tell us a little bit about yourself, how old you are, where you from.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, 32 years old. Moved to Jackson in 2021. So my wife's born and raised here. We met at Mississippi State, graduated there, moved back to Memphis, worked for a large commercial contractor there that my dad is a part owner of for 5 years. And then, like a lot of folks that wind up back in Jackson or end up there if they're not from here, my wife wanted to move home. Her whole family lives here. So we did that, and it's been the best decision we've ever made. I wouldn't be in the position I am right now had we not taken that jump and followed the Lord and moved back here. So,
All right, back up. Little Webb, did you have a job growing up?
yes. So, like I said, my dad's been in the business for, 30, 40 years now. I don't want to age him too bad. So I'm one of those kids. I was drug around a job site. There's pictures of me with a little blue hammer as a small kid when I could walk, just walking around the yard, or had a tool belt on. So I've always been around it. And then starting probably in middle school, 6th, 7th grade, in the summers, I would actually do maintenance at the grade school that I went to that my mom worked at. It was right down the road from our house. And so in the summer, I would do painting classrooms or, landscaping jobs around the school. And so that was kind of where I got the first, itch of in kind of construction adjacent and learning how to work. So, I had a job, starting in 6th grade in the summers. So I've always wasn't scared to work for sure.
Right.
When other kids were hanging out at the pool, I was working, painting classrooms and stuff like that.
That's awesome that you've been exposed to it that long and getting to see all ends of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Did
right.
your dad do anything before the construction business?
No. So like my great grandfather, so his grandfather who basically raised him, he was an iron worker, like ran away from home when he was 16, went to California, became an iron worker, moved back to Evansville, Indiana, started a huge steel business. And so my dad was always around construction too. And then my dad went to Murray State, got a construction degree, started working for Turner Construction in Nashville. They're one of the largest general contractors in the world. They do every year over $2 to $3 billion worth of work a year. He wound up in Memphis on St. Jude when they built the first big hospital there. And so he's been in his whole life. That's how he got to Memphis. And so I guess I'm skip a generation, but I'm kind of a third generation, construction person. So I've been around it my whole life.
That's cool.
That's what I went to Mississippi State for.
Yeah, go Dogs.
Yep.
That's cool how you framed it up.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, let's see. So you went to Mississippi State. You got a degree in what?
Building construction science.
Yep. All right.
So
Graduated in
2016.
Okay.
Yep.
And what was your move fresh out of college?
So I had interned with the company that my dad's been with for 20 years, all through high school and college, really college. And so I had a job there when I graduated. I kind of knew that. I'd interviewed with some other people down here because my wife was going to nursing school, or soon-to-be wife was going to come to nursing school here. So was trying not to do distance, but, distance makes the heart grow fonder. So we did it for 2 years. Worked there, learned a ton. I was exposed to a lot.
What was your role?
So starting out, I was an assistant project manager,
Okay.
which, basically on the office side of a construction project, working under a senior project manager. So kind of just helping with, RFIs, submittals, change orders, budgets, just kind of all the paperwork and processes that the project manager needs to get done, but doesn't have all the time to do because he's managing multiple jobs. So it's kind of in that role for 2 or 3 years, which is pretty standard in our industry. In large commercial construction, there's stepping stones that you kind of have to hit, and sometimes you think you're going to go faster than what the company wants you to do or tells you how long you need to be in that role. But kind of then from there moved up into a project management role and was managing, projects upwards of $15 to $20 million, managing a couple at a time. And it was going great and, liked it, learned a ton. But as in business, as you learn, sometimes companies change and leadership changes. And so there was some of that went on. And given that my dad was in a position of leadership and some of those things didn't always, he and I, great relationship, would still work for him to this day. But there were some things that made me start to look and go, is this what I want to keep doing long term? Throw that in with my wife wanting to move home and being homesick. It was kind of a perfect opportunity of probably not going to go work for a competitor against my father. That would make Thanksgiving tough. And then my wife wanting to move here, it kind of just was a perfect fit. So
what year was that?
That would have been 2021. So I did 5 years at that company in Memphis. And the last project that I built was at Ole Miss. It was a sorority house that I was the project manager of. And the architecture firm that designed that house they're based in Jackson. And so I spent, basically 2 years getting to work with those guys and know those guys. And so when we decided we were going to move here, reached out to them, said, really, who do y'all like to work with contractor-wise? Because I like how y'all approach construction and design. If I'm going to work somewhere for another general contractor, I want to work with people like you.
Right.
Well, they had an opening for their construction administrator, which is kind of for an architecture firm. That's the guy that goes out to the job sites and makes sure that what they design is getting built by the general contractor. So I hadn't really thought about that or considered it. And, I was like, I'm not sure. Do I want to just go back and do what I was doing and work for somebody else? I've always had an itch to work for myself and scratch that entrepreneurial itch. But I was like, I'm moving to a new place. I don't know anybody. I need to get here and meet people first. So I worked for that company for 2 years. WBA Architecture is their name. And then after about a year, I was like, I need to get back in the game and need to get back into construction. Want to scratch the itch. They're very entrepreneurial themselves, and so I kind of saw how they had built a business.
Right.
And so I went out, started an LLC, took the test, got my general contractor's license, and kind of went to them and was like, look, guys, this is what I'm going to do. Hopefully y'all will support me and want to work with me. And, ended up that those guys ended up partnering with me. So there was just a lot of familiarity there from the last project we did in Memphis. I worked for them, and then now they're my passive business partners. And so
That's neat.
we just have a lot of familiarity, and there's a lot of, good working relationship and trust that was just built over time that stepping back now, looking at it, I would have never thought that those steps would have gotten me to here, but
That's a pretty cool roadmap. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And I can kind of track with you on that stuff because I graduated in management and construction and land development at State.
yeah, they got rid of your degree
They did. It was,
and
too
changed
easy,
it to
too
the one
easy.
that I got.
So I interned with Yates Construction.
Okay.
And did estimating and kind of got exposed to a lot of the project management stuff too. And that was my plan. I mean, I was coming out of college and I was trying to be a project manager for a commercial construction company. Graduated in 2009. Nobody was hiring. So for me, it was a blessing in disguise for me that I didn't get that, but I can relate to a lot of that stuff that you're hitting on. And I think, and I want you to speak to this, but the combination of the architecture and the construction, that's got to set you apart from a just, competitor
Yeah.
as far as general
Yeah.
construction goes.
For sure. And like our degree, and when you got it, it was in the business school, I think.
I don't know.
Well, so our degree was actually housed under the School of Architecture, Art, and Design. So we spent a lot of time with architects. We actually had our studio classes where two of our big studios were actually with the architecture students. We were in there with them for a whole semester, 2 different times during our our 4 years of school. And so I think that exposure right there, I got to learn and appreciate what they did. A lot of contractors they want to get a set of plans and then leave me alone, and kind of flipped that and just leaned into it more. And I think it's an asset that all of our team members provide, is that, a lot of the guys got the same degree I did, went through that same process. So we kind of had an understanding of what makes them tick and what they look for, respect what they do, and then, allows us to look out for that on our job sites. Like we kind of, not that we have their mind, but we understand what they're looking for. We understand what their eye sees when they come out there. And so I think that adds a strength for us, and the products that we end up delivering is that, we're thinking about what they're going to come out and say before they even get there. So we know, hey, man, that's not exactly how it is on the plans, but I know what their intent is. You hear intent is a word you hear all over construction and design when we talk with architects. And so having that built-in experience of going to school with them, but then also me working with them, and then now us being in close proximity and doing design build projects, I think, that really does set us apart with our mindset. It's not an adversarial relationship. It's a combined and collaborative and joint effort. At the end of the day, we're just trying to deliver the best project and product that our clients hired us to do. It's not our building, but we're trying to be stewards of their money and what they want.
So for our listeners, walk us through just the process of, I call you, I'm like, hey, I want you to build me a 20,000 square foot office warehouse.
Yeah.
And how Form Design Build is set apart from just, again, your competitors. So,
right.
Because typically, walk us through this, but I would hire you as a contractor, but I'd also go hire an architect.
Sure.
But what y'all have is a blend of both in-house to where it's kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Walk the listeners through that process.
This will be great. I hope my wife listens, because a lot of times she wonders what I do every day and what all goes into it. So
you golf. That's what you do.
Right. The traditional delivery method of a construction project is owner calls an architect and says, hey, I want you to design this building for me. And they go kind of in a vacuum, the owner and the architect, and they draw a building to a set of plans that can go get a permit or can go get a bid. And then they either call one contractor, they call three, or they put it out on the street and everybody with a contractor's license can bid it. And then they take either lowest and best or most qualified numbers, depending on how it's done, private or public. And then they hire the contractor. And so the architect and the contractor are not in a contractual relationship at all. They're both directly to the owner. And so when things are great, it's great. But when there are challenges in every business and every project, there are challenges that come up. You don't really have a reason to get in the trenches with each other and figure out the best solution, because you're not contractually aligned or financially aligned.
Each one of them has their own obligation to the owner. It's almost like doing a real estate deal and me as the buyer having an attorney that represents me and the seller having an attorney. By default, each one of those attorneys are going to redline each other's thing and send back. Yeah. Or if they worked in harmony.
Yep.
That's it.
At the end of the day, the owner bears the brunt of that. Whether it's through change orders, whether it's time, whether it's, just dealing with back and forth and disagreements and whatnot.
Communication, I feel like managing those two parties sounds exhausting.
Right. And so, especially in today, everybody wants to get it done with the least amount of people they have to interact and deal with. They just want to make it easier. And so if you were wanting to come to us, you call Form and tell us what you want to do. And then we would engage our architecture partners and bring in our team of engineers, but it would be with one contract. You, the client, has a contract with us, and then we have contracts with everybody else. And that just inherently puts all the other people in the boat together. We have to work together. They all work for us, we all work for them, and we all work together for the client. So when those issues arise, we're able to sit down together as a group. We're all in this together and figure out the best solution for our client. And, if that means that Form has to pay for something that, wasn't in the plans or whatever, we take care of it. Or if somebody else didn't, then we work together to find the best solution to move forward. And we help manage that, because throughout a design process, you're going to have schematic design development, construction documents. There's levels as you progress from you call me and say, oh, you want to build 20,000 feet. Well, we got to do a preliminary plan to make sure we're on the right track. And then we're going to bring in the engineers at design development when we start putting more of the details in and the systems in, and make sure that we're still on the right track before we get that final set that would get a permit or what we'd actually go build. And so we're able to walk along with you and use our institutional knowledge, our connections with all the different engineers and consultants. There's so many people that go into building a commercial construction project that most people don't ever see.
They'll know, yeah.
Acoustical consultants, low voltage, AV, structural, mechanical, civil, fire protection, elevator, like all those different and that's not even the people that are building the work. Those are just the people that have a stamp and a license to design that work that then we go get built. So it can be overwhelming as an owner who's never done this. If you're a business owner and you're a doctor, you need to be a doctor. You need to, but you need a building. Well, you don't need to be worried about, do I need to call the civil engineer first or the electrical engineer first? You just need to call us, and we know how to walk you through those steps where you can still go do the business that's making you the money to build this building.
Stay in your lane.
Yep. So I think that's where, there's a lot of great contractors. There's tons of great contractors in this market. So there's a lot of great people. I think we dig in and lean in where a lot of people would go, man, that's a lot of time. Are you really going to make money and see a return off that extra time and effort? We kind of lean into that and say, well, that's where we're providing our value. That's where we set ourselves apart, is that we're willing to dig in. We'll sit there and talk about bollards in the front of a church for protection in case somebody wanted to, drive through the front door.
Bollards are the little yellow things that you jump over as a kid walking
Yeah.
out of Walmart.
But thinking about how
I never knew that was the word
Look at
for
that.
So-
Told you. Look at that. I learned.
so stuff like from down to that detail to, we don't want this room to echo. How much sound insulation do we need? Acoustical panels. And some of those conversations can go on for, you just go down the rabbit hole. But think if we sit there, they're hiring us to be the expert. And so we need to be able to dig in to those details and take the time it needs to get them where they feel good and confident and comfortable with the decision that they've made. So that's not necessarily in the design, bid, build, mark. You can't do that. If you're getting brought in at the very end, well, you missed all those conversations and all those meetings and those steps along the way to provide your input into that design. So when we're in it from the get-go, some of these projects we work on, it'll have a 2023 job number and it's 2026 and we're under construction. So It's a lot of time shepherding that project along, but I think that's one of the things that really does set us apart.
Yeah. And it's probably, go ahead.
The scenario, like when Paul asked the question and you were painting the scenario of how y'all get involved and when. You said that oftentimes they go to architects first and then would go out to bid for the contract work. Are you often getting a hold of like that RFP after an architect's already been engaged and done work?
Sometimes, yeah. So
And then how does that work? Like there are people knowing Form does both. Let's just go straight to Form. Or are they seeing y'all as builders and then being like, oh crap, y'all could have done our architect work?
So I think some of that is, and again, we're not actually drawing the work. We have our architecture partners that are doing it, that are licensed and stamped to do it. We just they're working for us and then we work for the client. But yeah, there are people that have been, man, we could have just streamlined this whole thing. I think that's just part of any business that's new. We've only been around for 3 years. So the more that we do and the more that we see and the more that we put out and explain our process, I think people will start to kind of buck the trend. And nationally, not to nerd out on design build, but it's becoming a trend that's being used for much bigger projects. It used to be viewed as something that you would do for, a custom home or, more of a small one-off type construction project. It wasn't viewed as something that you would, driving down the road, the big jobs, you wouldn't see those procured as a design build. They would have been design bid build. And I think what people are learning is that, putting it out on the street does not always, lend to the best number at the end of the day. You might be low on the day that the bid is awarded, but by the time the project's over, all that cost gets added in, where if we're involved early, we can help make those decisions and build into the design, what, is actually cost effective at the end of the day. It may seem like it costs more on the front end, but by the time we get to the job and we compare, we're probably going to be lower. And so that is being adopted more in the public market. you know, in bigger projects like the ABC warehouse that is being built. I know that's a hot buzzword topic right now with all that's going on with liquor not showing up at liquor stores. But that project was like an $80 million project, and it was procured as a design build. Rankin First just put an RFP out for a speculative warehouse that's 75,000 square feet. It's being procured as a design build. So they're bringing in, you're proposing as a team. So it's starting to pick up more traction in the overall market. I think they're projecting by 2030, almost 50% of all commercial construction projects in the country will be procured with a design build. So it's starting to flip the trend where more people are understanding and seeing the value in it, and that just lowest on bid day doesn't always turn out to be the best and lowest when the project's over. Yeah. So I think that will help us seeing more as more projects continue to get built that way and people start hearing about it. And it's not just some alternate delivery method, that people will start coming to us for that. Now, and we will work in any contractual relationship. Like, we work with architects that they've been hired and then they come to us in the middle of it and they're like, hey, we want to take proposals from contractors. We're happy to do that too. Yeah. And we provide good value there, but I think where we take our value to the next level is when we're able to be involved from the beginning and procure it that way.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I like that. And I looked at your social media stuff before the podcast because we've never met, which is, you're the perfect guest. Like, I love somebody I don't know, and like just being able to unpack your business and your whole story. And you do a really good job on marketing. And in your industry, which I've seen some construction companies start to utilize, you know, professional marketing, but that's not always been a thing. I mean, that's not, I think, and I know this is probably your warpath, but taking that professional marketing and leveraging off of that niche part of design build, which, to your point, I mean, design build, that word has been thrown around forever. I mean, we hear it in the land development arena, you know. Just,
people talk about it, but they don't actually get in there and do it.
Exactly.
And do it like we're trying to do it.
So, you know, leveraging off of that, I think, would help set you apart, because that's a pretty unique deal to have, you know, an architecture partner.
Yeah, from the get-go, like I was saying before, the first thing we did is when we want to do this, we went to a marketing agency, agency. I'll shout them out. And from the idea of the name, logo, they started from branding from the beginning. And so they've been with us and walked along with us as our company's grown and developed and we brought in more people. They've kind of walked alongside us. And my biggest thing, especially at the beginning, it was just me. You know, I was a solo entrepreneur and I hired one person. I need to be bringing in business and work and projects and managing projects. And a lot of times you'll see with construction companies is the person doing their marketing is also their business development person who's also putting proposals together. And so depending on the season that they're in, they will get distracted. And the first thing that's going to drop is your social media. Trying to come up with posts and think about that. You'll see a timeline of, oh, why'd they take a 6-month break?
Right.
Did somebody leave or what happened? Yeah. It's like, no, they were just really busy. And that person's wearing multiple hats and they needed to go do what it took to bring work into the business. And so I wanted to be consistent. I think consistency is key in everything that you do, but especially when everybody's doing social media. If you're going to do it, you need to do it well and you need to be consistent. And there's all metrics and numbers and things that will tell you that. But that was a thing of mine. I saw it with my previous firm that they did great marketing when they were doing it, but when they were busy, it was the first thing that they took a step back from. And that's natural. I get it. And so I wanted to kind of buck that and go, we're going to build in where we're going to post 8 to 10 times a month. We're going to have it on a schedule. You know, Tell was a big player in that. So I know ahead of time, here's the things that we want to do a month and a half ahead. We approve it. It goes in the hopper. And
I see what you did.
And so I kind of already know what's coming up, and I'm not having to worry, are we going to have a post that goes out on Tuesday? Like, oh, I approved that a month ago. And so the baseline of that has been important. And then like you said, I think over time, especially as we can continue to grow as a brand and a company in the space and in the area, depending on the type of client, I see a potential for, it may not be the reason why we get a job, but it can definitely be an asset to the end user and the client if we're promoting your project all through construction from the first time we put a shovel in the dirt till the ribbon cutting. especially if you're somebody that, you're leasing space or you need customers or you're an apartment.
I like that.
Like we're able to help market your end product while it's being built. And if we're not posting, then you're not getting that benefit. Again, that shouldn't be why you pick us. But
that is an ancillary benefit.
It's the sprinkles on top of the sundae that may help bring you and convert customers down the road once you open. And I think that's something that I've been thinking about.
It allows you to flex for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because it's like, and they don't even have the time. And I was looking at your Instagram yesterday, actually, and saw the project with Headwaters.
Yeah.
And I just met with them last week.
They're a busy
about
group.
Some things, and went to their building, and I was complimenting it. And because
thank
it was
you.
great. And I was like, how long have y'all been here? And they're like, we just actually redid the whole thing, whatever. And I had no idea y'all did it. And I looked on Instagram, and I saw y'all covered, like, the whole thing.
Yeah, we try
And I
to
think that's
show,
great.
From beginning to end. I mean, I'm biased. I think construction's cool. I think people like to see, big equipment. They like seeing buildings come together. And a lot of people, commercial construction can kind of seem so far away from everyday life, and it's kind of scary to some people. And so kind of pulling back the curtain and showing kind of how we do and how we do our process. I'm very much an abundance mindset person. Like, there's plenty of work out there for everybody. And so I don't mind showing what we do, because there's plenty of work for everybody to go do. And so but I think it helps educate, it helps show our value, shows how we do things maybe differently than other people. And then, like you said,
another big thing is it makes you approachable.
Yeah.
I mean, because y'all are doing videos, putting yourself out there. I mean, it's kind of like us doing this podcast, because some people, I've had people over the years that, like, don't want to approach me. Like they feel like,
Yeah.
I guess I come across stiff or something. But
Yeah, I feel like when I first met you and you were looking at doing marketing from, like, a social media standpoint, it's like you've done the billboards and everything. You're like, people see my face and know me, but how do I be more approachable?
How do you go from the guy on the billboard to the guy they want to talk to in the coffee shop?
And social media is a great way to do it.
Yes. I think that's another benefit that you can't put your thumb on and say, hey, I'm getting X amount of value.
Sure.
But you probably end up getting a job because somebody's like, man, I've seen your stuff.
Yeah.
And
it always gets us in the door.
You do a really good job of describing it and kind of unpacking the project. It's not like you're just stepping into this. You've been involved in it from day one as a kid all the way up. You've got the generational background for it. I mean, you kind of check all the boxes. So it's like,
we still hear we're too young all the time, though.
oh, dude, you're going to hear that because you're 32, I'm 39. I'm getting a lot of gray in my beard, so maybe I can get a little bit more respect. But
it's
tough.
I view it as it's a challenge right now, but there'll be a day where we're on the other side of it, and we'll be the ones that somebody else is saying, man, I wish I was their age and had their experience. So you just take it where it is, and it makes you appreciate the people that do trust you at this level, because they see what you're really offering. And so those are the relationships that you lean into and appreciate and foster. And I've been in the business now 10 years, which doesn't seem like it should be that long, but yeah, it's 10 years. And, combined with our team, I'm the oldest team member that we have. Everybody else is my age or younger, but like most of us came from similar backgrounds where we worked for big companies, in Atlanta and Denver, Memphis, and then did that, got trained up, and then wanted to do something, moved home for whatever reasons, usually family, and wanted to do something a little bit different where they had a little bit more ownership and control of what they do. And so, yeah, we're all young, but combined experience, we have over 50 years of combined experience in our company, and we've only been around for 3 years. So, but we still fight that, Form has only been around for 3 years, but we've all been doing this a lot longer than Form's been around, and trying to convey that. And, we'll fight it forever and try not to harp on it too much. But,
well, that's where back to the marketing and just kind of proofs in the pudding. It's like, hey, just go follow us, go look at our stuff.
Yeah.
And gonna be like, wow.
Yeah, and being sure you have a solid brand that's very clear and consistent, and a good website and good social media. So Tell's done a great job with that.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to someone yesterday who's looking to get into the construction space, and they were like, it will be slow for the first several years, but I feel like we should do a logo. And I was like, yeah, 100%.
For sure.
Because Like, why just go do the work for the no brand recognition or awareness? But then if you just pick a name and like put it on a black and white sign with a random font,
Right.
people see it and forget it.
It needs to be intentional.
Intentional, yeah. And go ahead and have all this set up, which I would accredit a lot of your success to, being 3 years old. And it's like, y'all have a great path for your business. Well, you started with a strong brand and a clear message and a good product, good service.
Yeah.
And now you're here.
And we're always trying to evolve. Like, we had a big meeting the other day about, once you get to a certain point in business, and then you need to start thinking about, what are our core, you can't just make up core values at the beginning when you've never done anything. And so we've kind of we do check-ins with our team and, kind of just talk about, all right, well, here's what we've done, and what are the things that are ticking for y'all? What's your culture? What are the things that you want to, what would, if Form was sitting in that chair right there, how would it speak? What would people say about it? And try to build in those core values and grow on that brand that we've established, but also put those things in place as we grow and add more team members. Then they know what they're buying into.
It's huge.
And also our clients, when they hire us, they know what we're about. And you see everybody puts loyal and trustworthy. Like, that's all great. Like, yeah, you would hope that you can trust me if you're going to hire me. I shouldn't have to tell you that we're honest people. So it's taking it to another layer and building on, what are we about? What do we stand for our team, and then also for those people hiring us. So we're continuing to evolve in that, and that's company culture, but it also translates into your brand, which then goes out into the public in the form of social media. I think our youth helps us on that too. I'm in that generation where I remember not having a cell phone, and remember before Facebook and Instagram and all that was, but that happened in 7th and 8th grade. And so then I've lived a lot of life past it. And so we're more comfortable with it. I mean, my dad would not be as comfortable doing what we're doing on social media. Yeah. So I'm trying to use that as a strength and take advantage of that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you've done a really good job. And I think, especially you've been in the business for a long time, but for Form to be 3 years old, y'all are on the right warpath, and and there's a whole nother, and we can get deep in the weeds, but we're about to wrap up the first episode, and then we'll carry on the second episode with a pointed topic. But 100% just lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
I don't know what else I was going to say. I was going somewhere good.
Is there anything I didn't answer in the first episode that you want to pull a thread on or anything?
No, not really. I think I will throw kudos to the corporate world, because I'm not going to do it often. I think it really benefited you, and I think it really benefited Hannah whenever she worked at Hunter Fan and worked she worked in corporate marketing. You worked in corporate commercial construction, and the things that y'all were exposed to and were able to leverage off of it, I think that's hugely beneficial.
Yeah. Our processes are, like, we built the business with the same processes that I used at, a $250 million a year company. Like, we use all the same softwares, technologies. So, like, yes, we're a younger, smaller company, but we're built to grow into a bigger company. Our biggest thing is going to be trying to maintain and keep that culture and that quality and the time that we can spend with each client as we grow.
That's and that's kind of where I was going when I lost my train of thought, but was just like not spinning out of control. Because I went through that when we were building the real estate company. It's like I could go hire all these agents, but like you got to digest it slowly, because otherwise you can spin out of control. You can lose your reputation. You can make a lot of fumbles along the way. So I think doing it at a healthy pace, growing but at a healthy pace, has something to say.
You don't want to grow and sacrifice what got you to that point, and you want to keep your quality and be able to spend the time with the clients that you need to. Keep your people happy. You don't want to grow so fast that they're, just snowed under and don't like coming to work, because we spend most of our waking hours at work every day, not with the people that we love and want to go home to. And so all that goes into creating an environment where people want to be, and if they want to be there, that they're going to do better. Right. And if they do better, then the company's going to do better. So,
yes.
Yep.
So awesome. Good.
All right, Webb, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll catch up on round 2.
Awesome. Thank y'all.